open source. And so inside of this repo is basically everything that has been going on over the course of the last few weeks, months, and years to date. You will find it at github.com/spicyourdata/Saiku. And if you want to be able to run this stuff in a standalone manner, you can absolutely do that. There is nothing stopping you just spinning this up, and everything that you've seen today is open source, free to use. And we have a lot of stuff in the pipeline in terms of ensuring or attempting to ensure that the user experience is improved and made better so that people can feel like they're in a modern analytics environment that allows them to do the bulk of what they need to be able to do. Now, like I said, Saiku has been around for a long, long time, and so there's an awful lot of history in here, but it has been rebuilt recently to support Java 21. The UI has been rewritten in Svelte. And so, that type of thing is what we want to be able to do, modernize it, make it suitable for modern web technologies, all that type of fun stuff, and also the API endpoints for MCP and what have you. They're all in this repository. There is also a published Docker image, so you can spin this up. And if you want to find out more, of course, you can go to saiku.bi, where you'll find access to a live demo. You can start a free trial, and you can book a walkthrough and just talk to me or talk to one of the team who would be happy to show you how to set this stuff up. Now, of course, not every organization wants to be able to run their own stuff. And so we also have Saiku Cloud. I won't give you a running demo of Saiku Cloud today, but it is a hosted environment that allows for Saiku to be leveraged whilst not having to manage or host it yourself. We of course manage it for you, and you bring your own database or bring your own data, and we can hook it into Saiku Cloud so that you can do basically everything that we've gone through today, but in a managed environment rather than it being made up and hosted by yourselves, which of course may also incur data security issues and the like. So whilst I babble on, let's just transition back to my face. We're going to try and do something that I was working on yesterday with the team, and see if we can connect this thing, connect to it. So insert, hold on. I've got to remember how Excel works, so you just got to bear with me. Tools, Excel add-ins. Yeah, he's forgotten. Claude's messed me around, so if I'm just going to chuck him a screenshot. We're going to see where we get to. So one of the things that we were building out, and so going back in time a little bit, Excel support has historically been provided by what's known as an XMLA endpoint to Saiku or Mondrian in general. But the problem is that that is only valid in the Microsoft environment. Like, you cannot run that outside of Windows. So any OS X user, any Mac user is going to, struggle because there's no direct connection between Saiku and Excel inside of a Mac. So we have been building a add-on that works both inside of Windows, it works inside of OS X, and it works inside of Office 365 on the web. And that is going to allow for, on-demand access to the data itself, but without having to deal with the XMLA connection that exists today. So the reason I'm babbling on is because Claude is trying to figure it out. It says I've got to quit Excel and start again. So there we go. So I'm going to don't save Excel. Okay. Quit Excel. Oop. And I've got to say done to him and he's going to do something. There you go. Told you some of this was seat the pants development work. This is what happens on a bank holiday Friday. I'll show you what's going on though. If I transition to this screen. So I'm trying to load up the development version of the Office extension that we built. So he's relaunching it. Once it opens, start a blank notebook, create, insert tab. Let's see if he's right. Insert. So it's the puzzle piece icon. This is where I go wrong with all these things. Sometimes I'm just like, are you making things up, Claude? Insert object. Pivot table form from picture shapes. I can't see a puzzle piece. He did this to me yesterday. But he did also say go to add-ins, which is what I did yesterday. So Excel add-ins. Give him a couple of screenshots. Whilst he's thinking about that, we'll see how the platform build-out's going. So you can see he's been working. And we're now through tasks 1 to 4, which was building out the initial frameworks, some of the connectors, all that type of stuff. Now he's working on the repository interface, the Saiku client. So he's gone through about half of that build, and then also had some code review done on it and write some tests, all that type of stuff. So it's pretty in depth. But like I said, I wouldn't for a second build this and then declare it done. There's a whole bunch of different stuff to be able to deal with. Anyway, so whilst that's still ongoing, we will continue arguing with multiple Claudes, trying to get the various bits up and running. But as you can see, it's command and manage again. That button wherever you click is the wrong one. When it's just like, I think you're a bit out of date, Claude. Not that one. That one, is it that one? Ah. Is it this one? Don't know, because Excel seems to be stuck loading. I guess it does look like a puzzle piece. That's Claude. I don't know how long it takes to load these things normally, so we will see. But yeah, so to be able to facilitate use of Saiku using Excel, by allowing us to build an open, Office.js add-in, really allows us to be able to leverage, the best parts of Saiku and the model that goes under the hood with Excel users, and allowing them to use the same data sets that everyone else uses from a web perspective or from an app perspective, to allow them to be able to distribute this data, but also keep it fresh over time, so that users can then log in using their credentials, hit the refresh data button, the data gets updated, the pivot tables that they're already looking at gets sorted out. And quite what's going on with the fact, this isn't even just a Claude thing. Why the add-ons is just hanging is an interesting question, because I do not know. But it's sat there trying to load whilst not actually getting anywhere. So that's a interesting issue. whilst that's going, this one's still going. Reviewer approved a follow-up, so he's going to fix a few things, won't fix a couple of other things. So that's task 5 done, task 6 done, task 7 done, task 8 done. So he's getting there. I think there must be 10 tasks. We've got through 8 of them. That's the one, the add-in tab. That's the web add-ins flyout. Completely different from the... but it doesn't actually load Claude. That's the problem. If I move this over here just so I can do other stuff whilst trying to keep that loading spinner open. No, I can't. As soon as I click away from it. Amazing, Excel. So, all right, he's going to try something else, which is useful because I can't open the loading screen. As we wait. Oh, here we go. So, yeah, Saiku for Excel, completely untested with this latest build, so this is going to be fun. Localhost 8080, let's try that. Yeah. So I need to tweak this because this is some of the extended functionality we were building in yesterday, which is the ability to then connect to a number of different Saiku services. So you can see here anyway, we've built this sidebar which allows you to then define which servers you connect to because it may be greater than one. And then also, once you've logged in, obviously then interact with the data. So we'll attempt, whilst we're still chuntering away doing other bits and pieces, to get that fixed up so that we can show how this works. This is some of the tweaks we were making yesterday though, because you need to be able to deal with different technical pass-throughs. Change the server URL. Okay, so he reckons if I do this and do this, we will connect. Let's see if he's correct. Admin. Still an error, but we're getting there. This time we've got through the localhost bit. Now it's undefined is not an object, evaluating roaming.set, whatever that means. So Claude is working on fixing that up. And over here, as the application's built out, so now task 9, the dashboard UI, this uses FLchart 1.x. and Riverpod 3.x and replaces main.dart. So the implementer must also remove the stale generated widget test, marking in progress and dispatching. So he's going to do task 9, and then you can see of this app build out, task 10 is the live verify and write the readme. And at that point, if it's gone well, we'll be able to see something on the screen that would be cross-platform. It would work as a web app. It would work as an iPhone app, it would work as an iPad app, it would work as an Android app, all from the same code base. I'm sure it's going to look reasonably lousy, whatever comes out the far end of this, but you get the idea as to what you can then go and build out using the same data bits and pieces. Hold on. So he's going to fix some stuff in Excel, and we're going to sit here and wait for this to go through. Now, oh, there we go. As I said it, task 9 done. FLchart needed no adaptation. New widget set passes, analyze clean. So he's going to review the UI, and then we'll launch this, and we'll see what it looks like for a quick pass at writing a app that underpins the same data set. So if you remember, let's just go back to where we were. So if I look at this one, and then transition this for you guys. So if you guys remember, we started here with this Excel spreadsheet. Now we had a workbook that had 250,000 records in it. It had a number of other supporting tabs and some pivot tables and a couple of charts. That type of stuff allows us to be able to distribute that to end users, but what it doesn't allow you to do is be able to manage it safely, sanely, or deal with things like user access permissions or anything like that particularly well. So this is the problem we're trying to solve here. To be able to demonstrate this, we then built an analytics model that then sat over the database that we then loaded up in between, which is a Postgres database. And we sent that to Saiku OLAP, which then allowed for people to be able to interact and create dashboards directly over the database, removing the need for the Excel distribution if you give people access to the AI. Then we used the LLM to be able to interact with the same data to prove that we could then use Claude or pick your other favorite LLM provider to analyze the data that's in the OLAP cube and the Saiku server that still adheres to the same security. I keep banging on about data security, but all these people have the same security rights regardless of their entry point. And then over here, we've got an iPad app, which allows for another user to be able to connect to that database via the input over there. So you're all connecting to the same model, the same data. Now, the other bit that we're now working on, just to finish this off, to try and display it properly, is we now have Excel over here. Sorry for my lousy writing once again. Excel. And we've got another user who's then still using Excel, but then still connecting to the data source over here. And that really allows for such flexibility in terms of the way that the application is designed, deployed, and configured. It really just allows for that flexible access to the data whilst not building the same model multiple times. And that's really what you're trying to do in all of this, is define it once and use it everywhere. So that's what we're in the process of building out in real time whilst everyone watches me. And I was about to show you, well, in fact, we'll transition back. You can have a look. So I have now got as far as active. It says it's connected, but I can't actually get into it. So I need to get Claude to tweak that. So continue, because Anthropic's having a bit of a wobbly because it's Friday and they've all taken the day off. Continue. Now it says that I have connected, but I can't get to the cube list. So it needs to figure out that bit, because you can see here, Claude's built out this bit. And this is tip of development type build out, because this is literally what we were working on yesterday to allow for multiple sources rather than just one Saiku source. So this is real-time design and development. There we go. So he's going to work through that. We'll see where we've got to with the dashboard UI. The reviewer has approved the remaining items are non-blocking polish. I'll do one tight cleanup pass on the worthwhile ones that align with your coding standards, and then skip the purely cosmetic notes. So he's doing a bit of a cleanup. There you go. This is real-time, how you do stuff with multiple Claudes. So he's working through that. This one's working through this one. Eventually, hopefully. Aha. Maybe it's just a flow thing. Aha, there we go. So he'll probably rebuild this whilst I'm in the middle. So what I might actually do is just stop him. So that's just a flow thing. But you can see here now, we've got this Farmer RX cube. If I select Farmer RX, and then we'll have a look at what measures we're interested in. So again, we were looking at quantity, rebate rate amount, net revenue. So I can select those as the measures. I then want to be able to pull in some of this information. So this is the cube that we wrote at the start of today. You might struggle to see this, and I can't make it bigger because it's Excel. But this is the cube that we were working on today. I'm going to select from this again because we've been looking at it, region and state, and then year and month. If I hit next again, I could optionally filter it. I don't want to. I'll review that, and then I'll hit insert, and we will see what happens. There we go. So this bit I can make bigger. If I click on zoom to 200, what we've built here is a query that then is querying Saiku, the same Saiku server we've just been looking at. It's pulled in the various fields that we want. So we've got region, we've got state, we've got year, we've got month, we've got quantity, we've got rebate amount, we've got net revenue into this sheet. Sorry, I'm trying to remember my my Excel phrasing. So we pulled this into the sheet. You can, if your data changes, come in here and you can hit the refresh button. Of course, I'm authenticated on a specific server, so it only pulls the data from the server that you've asked it to. And then if I click on the pivot, I'm assuming, here we go. If I then say I want to be able to analyze by region and state and year and month. Sorry, my pivot table Excel knowledge is useless. But then if I chuck rebate amount in, there we go. So I have now connected, my Excel sheet, my Excel instance, to a live Saiku instance that sat in the background, serving this data up in exactly the same way. So if I went and ran this same query inside of Saiku OLAP, you would basically see the same output both times, same numbers, same security. So if I logged in and I only had access to Midwest, I could only see Midwest stuff. If I only had access to Northeast, I would only see Northeast stuff. And then people can come in here and, of course, do their standard Excel pivot table stuff, come back a week later, if the data's changed, hit the refresh button, and this pivot table will update to show the latest stuff that is available to a user. And so this is what makes the flexibility of these models really powerful across an entire organization.